Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This is Tommy Bradley, and this is the Chicago Bears 2021 win-loss projection video from the Sportsocracy. Tommy, this is a team that I have been constantly down on. I said they should have fired Matt Nagy after last season if you were planning on taking a young quarterback. What did they do? They kept Matt Nagy and took Justin Fields. What are your thoughts on Justin Fields in Chicago?
I think they gave up a lot of capital to get Justin Fields for a team that needs a lot of pieces. I would have much rather them go into the Sam Darnold sweepstakes and do something similar to the Panthers and only giving up a second, a fourth, and a sixth next year instead of all the capital they had to give up to get Justin Fields, who's, minimum, you think, a year or two away from, really
I think he's a year away from being a year away.
Yeah, exactly. So, the talent's there, obviously, with Justin Fields. You can't deny if he reaches his ceiling, he's going to be a great quarterback. And with that defense, that you don't need to do a ton, but that's the problem with getting Justin Fields. He's a guy that he trusts his arm too much, as you've said many times over the past few months in evaluating him. I just don't know if he's the right fit in Chicago. Doesn't really seem like a Chicago kid to me. Dealing with those Chicago winters, outdoor snow games. Just doesn't seem like the type of player to thrive in that situation. So I hope for Matt Nagy's sake and Ryan Pace's sake they're right, because their jobs are dependent on it.
Yep, and I don't think they'll be around to see it, because I think Matt Nagy is going to be fired right around that bye week right there. I look at the Bears. I think this is a team that views themselves in a way that doesn't fit what they are. Because let's be really honest. Week one, are they going to LA and beating the Rams?
Negative.
No. Are they going to Cleveland week 3 and beating Cleveland?
That's a negative.
Are they going to Las Vegas and beating the Raiders?
That's also a negative.
How about Green Bay, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay again? I'll give you Minnesota right there. Are you going to Seattle and winning?
I'll take negative for 500, Alex.
There you go. Yeah, you're not, because you're not better than these teams, because you don't score.
Yeah.
We've got Khalil Mack, we've got all these things. I got news for you. That's not going to matter against the LA Rams. It's just not. Matthew Stafford's going to carve you up. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield is going to carve you up. I think Derek Carr is going to carve you up.
I don't know if you've ever said Baker Mayfield's going to carve someone up.
I haven't, and it felt weird, and I didn't like it. And I don't want to do it again. I just look at the schedule. You got no breaks here, and here's the thing. All right, so I see no way Justin Fields is the starter week 1 of this team.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say I'm right and he's not. Where do you put him in?
I don't see a spot.
I don't either. That's the problem, is I think the schedule completely screwed you.
Yeah.
Because the bye week is the week that makes the most sense, and then his first game is Baltimore.
The Ravens.
If you start the season with him, his first game is at the Rams.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I don't see it. I don't see any way that Matt Nagy's not fired at some point in the season, and you're completely starting over with a new offensive scheme with a guy that I never like seeing quarterbacks play in 2 offensive schemes in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't see a way it's not going to happen for Justin Fields. This is not a comment on the talent. There were several I said if he went to Denver, I would like him.
Yeah.
And I understand that's a Vic Fangio thing. It's very similar to Matt Nagy. I think he could have saved Vic Fangio's job with those weapons. You're giving him Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, and Allen Robinson, and David Montgomery, who had 3 games last year that showed a player I'd never seen before.
Tough.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy it, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I don't think I'm going to be, though. And I look at everything and the way it breaks down, and Tommy, we'll put your projection for the NFL season up on the screen first. You have the Bears at 4-13.
Yep.
Finishing 5 games behind the Vikings, who finished 5 games behind the Packers.
Now, honestly, that was another tough one for me to even get to the 4 wins for the Bears. There's not a ton of matchups I really like for them out there. I do think, some of the picks they made, getting Tevin Jenkins, a guy you were high on, Larry Borum from Missouri, they didn't pick a defensive player until late in the 6th round, their 3rd, 6th round pick. So with Khalil Herbert, Daz Newsome, they've got some pieces to build around Fields. I just don't think Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace will be there long enough to be able to see that through. So I think there's some pieces for the next coach and GM that steps in. I'm just really hoping that these guys don't, ruin Justin Fields' career on their way out, trying to throw him in there against the Rams in week 1 or against the Ravens in week 9, because he is not going to do well if his first NFL games he's dealing with some of these defenses and pass rushes and 3-4 defenses that he hasn't seen in college playing at Ohio State. You can't just spread out the Ravens and hope that nobody gets home on 50-something throws. So I like some of the things that they're building there in Chicago, and they're always going to have that defense as long as they have Khalil Mack, but it's not really going to matter until the next coach and GM get in there and start building some more talent. And unfortunately, they traded away some picks to get the talent they brought in this year.
That first rounder is going to hurt because I have the Bears at 5-12, and I think I'm being generous. I really do. I look at the schedule, and I just don't know who you're going to beat.
Yeah.
You're not better than these teams, and these teams can score. And, okay, so your defense is good. Tremendous. You get the ball, and what happens? You have the red pea shooter, Andy Dalton, slinging it to Allen Robinson. Okay. And then you got the other two starting receivers are Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller, who you were trying to trade the week of the draft, and I heard it from multiple places.
Yeah.
I just look at this and go, you're doing the same thing with Justin Fields that I just watched the Jets do with Sam Darnold. He's coming into a coach that does not have a great stronghold in this organization. You're going to ask him to go through a system, a scheme change in very short order, and you didn't put the weapons around him that you need. Do I think he can ultimately be a good quarterback in the league? Yes. I think it will be for the next coach and for the next GM.
100%. And a lot of people that are going to chirp us about this and having the Bears so low are going to talk about that defense. I don't think it can be underestimated how much they lost in Kyle Fuller as a turnover ball hawk that's punching balls out, that's getting interceptions, getting his hands on the ball, covering the slot guy, covering the best receiver. I really think, they lost a couple pieces in there that people aren't talking about and think it's the same defense. It's not going to be the same defense.
I also don't love the fact that you're starting Tevin Jenkins at left tackle because I projected him as a right.
Yeah.
Do I think he can be that? Absolutely. I think you're going to have some growing pains. And I just look at the defense and go, cool, you're counting on Desmond Trufant on the other side. I believe there are several teams that will tell you that might be a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Speaking of a fool's errand, somebody in our last Bears video said something about Mitch Trubisky, and as somebody that's been a Carolina affiliate for many years now, I can't help but agree with it. The end of the Mitch Trubisky era signals the end of an error, and I agree. I do like some of the things that are going on, and I think in time the Bears will be fine. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Can't trade up and sling twice and miss twice.
Nope. For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This has been the Chicago Bears 2021 NFL win-loss projection video. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button so you can see every time we go live, including 9 a.m. every weekday for the Sportsocracy Morning Show. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Wheat Brewing, wickedwheatbrewing.com. Drink different.